So, should we be worried right now about the TCG space? Now make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more awesome content. So this is something interesting. This was shared from the president of Upper Deck. Now, for those of you that don't know who Upper Deck is, they are a pretty decently sized titan within the trading card game space, which is kind of interesting. But this actually sounds kind of alarming to me. So I'll read this to you and we'll talk about our inference out of this. So everything speculative is up right now. The stock market, Bitcoin, trading cards, and its pricing, some collectors out. Here's what the data shows. 50% of consumer spending in the US is coming from 10% of the population. Rich people are carrying the market, not just in cards, but across every single category. Concert tickets, $1,000 for nosebleeds. Luxury goods, selling faster than ever. High-end collectibles, moving at record prices. When boxes cost $1,000 or more, you're not buying for fun anymore. You're speculating. You're betting that what you buy today will be worth significantly more tomorrow, and that works until it doesn't. Sports cards have always had speculation built in. You collect a rookie hoping they become a Hall of Famer, but what's happening now is different in scale. And when the markets become speculative, they become fragile. I'm not saying the sky is falling. I'm saying that we need to be honest about what's happening. This isn't sustainable growth driven by collectors who love the hobby. This is wealth concentration driving prices that most people cannot participate in. And if that money suddenly moves elsewhere to bet on something else, we will all feel it. Whew, there's a lot to take in with this. First of all, we've had this statistic thrown around in the market space before. And I mean, this is a Yu-Gi-Oh channel. All right, we talk about Yu-Gi-Oh pricing, affordability, and a lot of this. But we have to sometimes take one step out of our comfort zone here, and we have to leave our little planet. We have to look at the other trading card game universe around us, which is Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Gundam, Cardfight Vanguard. You know, these other card game planets all revolve around this ecosystem called the collectible/TCG space. What we are seeing here, in actual terms being thrown at your face, is 50% of this spending is coming from 10% of the population. The rich people are the ones that are driving the market right now. They are the ones that are in charge. To those of you that also read this and you see people are getting priced out of the hobbies, yes, they are. But this is a little bit different for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Konami actually just did some of the best reprinting of products that fall in a Valbaz deck and those Legendary 5Ds decks. Those are two major reprint products that are going to bring down the pricing of the competitive game. That's good. But also at the same time, Konami's lining their own pockets on the short term here for the success of those products to potentially release more powerful stuff. So they're taking the shortcut of we're fixing our profit margins for the time being, while in the future, there's going to be some more busted shit that you're going to have to buy to, you know, kind of compete. That's a little bit different. But when you're looking at the Pokemon market as a whole here, one of the first things that you're going to have to realize with that is, yes, I've heard stories about law firms out here that are using some of their assets in buying in to see a Pokemon product for, you know, just potential long-term investments. And I guess the veil is being pulled back here because as the Pokemon boom continues on, and I read more and more stories from people going, you know, I can't find this product. I go to my Walmart, you know, there's just some guy here massively picking out all of the product. Pokemon, their money's getting lined with them. MJ Holdings is making their money, you know. they're like, oh, hey, rack it in, you know? This is the kind of stuff that, you know, things have gotten, I don't want to say necessarily too big on the forefront of things, but if somebody in this position is coming out and saying, hey, we have the data, we're looking at how things are going, you know, the average person cannot afford, you know, luxury goods at this point in time, but yet for some reason, these luxury goods are still selling. Why is this? You know, why are these goods, you know, disappearing? And the next, I mean, I think one of the most dangerous points to this whole thing is, what if this money shifts out of this sector and moves into something else? I also recently saw one of the Shark Tank guys was investing into the card game market. He found like speculation on it. He was very interested in the space, and I saw some interesting stuff. He was talking about Labubus as well. It was, when you have what we're going to call the giga whales floating around out there, you know, you're going to have your average person who can spend maybe a couple dollars on certain things, you know. Then you kind of level up into more collectors and things like that. But then, you know, there's an echelon of collectors that can spend money on these sorts of things. And then you've got what is the Pokemon Card Slab Exchange these days, which you just see, I mean, people buying at 90%, flipping it around, making their 5-10%, and that's a good day, honestly. These card shows, I mean, I was actually just talking to one of my card shops from back in the day when they went to card shops. I mean, they said the average that they'd make $500, maybe $1,000 on a good day. So I mean, like, if you're going to some of these card shows alone, and you're seeing, you know, these numbers diluting at maybe even smaller percentiles, you guys don't realize this, but you know, these card stores that buy this product, they either have to pay it at an extremely higher price, or, you know, there's this. I've already seen a few people upset about card pricings from Pokemon. Well, if the Pokemon distributor's jacking up the price, and the store is paying $170 from distro for a box, and they're putting it at $180, they're making $10 per box, people. They are not making as much money as they are, because people are like, oh, you know, you're a scalper for not selling MSRP. Well, in order to get the fucking product in the goddamn store here, they're paying the overprice. And the community's like, oh no, you should be lowering the. That's not how supply and demand works. It really has become very apparent to me over time that people do not understand the modern era of supply and demand. It is a crazy concept that I swore was taught in school, but economics is a hard thing to understand. My takeaway from this is, I'm surprised to see, you know, the president of Upper Deck making this post. It's very, very interesting to see data being rebroadcast. But it's also interesting to have your takeaway from this and to understand, you know, the president of a card company going, hey, you know, luxury items are still performing very, very well, but it's not who you think it is that's buying these goods. It's not, you know, the average Joe that's getting this. We live in a world where that's not entirely possible for a lot of this. So it works until it doesn't. I think that's a very, very interesting motto to take away from this. The rest of what I got for you from this, the future is uncertain in any facet of the market. The market shifts very, very rapidly. She is a wild beast. I would take this at face value on education and, you know, see where this goes. Because once again, he who is blowing the horn here, we do not know if there are tantalizing changes for this, but I am a little bit curious with this one. So please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.